lots of movement all over the NFL, particularly when you look at the quarterbacks of the NFL. So I have Roman with me here today. We're going to grade all of the new quarterback contracts or trades that have happened since, all the trades started happening in the NFL. So first of all, the one we are most excited to talk about is the Ryan Tannehill contract. 4 years, $118 million, over $60 million of that $118 million confirmed. Roman has some strong opinions about this. Take the lead.
All right, I gotta start this off in this way. If you told me 2 years ago that we would be going through a pandemic right now, or Ryan Tannehill getting $118 million, I would have taken the pandemic.
Yeah.
This is a horror. I'm not gonna give anything an F because an F's just terrible, but this is as close as it comes. We are looking at, I'm not going to call him a subpar quarterback, but we're looking at a quarterback that got hot because the starter was absolute shit. And I understand he won Players of the Month and that kind of stuff, and Tannehill did put in his service for them, but it was carried by Derrick Henry, who was the best running back in the game last year. And this, especially because you had to franchise Derrick Henry too because of this contract. You still got to pay Derrick Henry next year. It's bad all the ways around. It's horrid.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as you're saying, because I think Tannehill was very good, especially for what the Titans needed this season. They got one game away from going to the Super Bowl. I think Tannehill manages the game very well. He doesn't need to be the star. I think that they needed to get him back. This is just obviously way too much money for way too long, because he's been hot for half a season, and with good coaching, I think he can still thrive, but there's potential that this contract looks very bad in maybe a year, maybe 2 years.
This could ruin your team.
Yeah, this could be a very bad contract because the Titans are really on the come up. I'm worried this is really going to stunt the growth of the Tennessee Titans.
I think 100%. There was
caliber team.
There were quarterbacks available at the time of this that are better than Tannehill that got less money. For an example, Bridgewater.
Yeah.
I would rather give Bridgewater $118 million than I would give Tannehill.
Yeah, I don't really understand why it's so much money, and I don't really understand why it's so much money for such a long time.
And there's no way in hell he asked for that much. I would be shocked to see him ask for that.
Obviously, I don't know about it, but, for me, this is probably, the Derrick Henry thing, it's very, it's very ambiguous, the information we have on Derrick Henry. They franchise tagged him. What's that going to mean next season? Especially with Tannehill making so much goddamn money. I like Tannehill. I like him in the system. I think Vrabel's going to do some good work with Tannehill, but for 4 years that much, I'm going with a C- for this one.
Oh, I'm giving it a D. I'll give it a D. It's horrid. When I think of Derrick Henry and what's going on through his situation right now, it reminds me of Bell when he was last year of Pitt. We put that franchise tag on him, hoping we can sign him, move our money around. We're still paying Brown. We're still paying Roethlisberger. And we just couldn't find the money, and he left. He went to the Jets. And we may see Derrick Henry leave just because he can't secure the bag.
Yeah, that would be the worries for me if I'm the Titans.
This team's done if he leaves.
I think they should have franchise tagged Tannehill, personally, and seen what he was like for another year before they start paying him, because you're riding a hot hand. You paid a hot hand, and this bit the Jaguars in the ass when they gave Nick Foles that kind of money. And it may turn out to be the same fate for Tannehill. $118 million.
It's also not even you're doing that, but you're banking on him to be what he was last year and better because you got rid of Mariota. You know who their second string is?
Who?
Logan Woodside. Who the fuck
still
that
early
is.
in the summer. They could,
I'm just saying. It's horrid.
They could still obviously get a better backup. But yes, I understand your concerns.
Terrible.
But we'll move on. Second one I want to talk about is Tom Brady. We did a full episode on him. Just signed his contract, 2 years, $50 million, $25 million a year for 2 years. I kind of like this contract. The thing that's coming to me the most is that it's not just about Tom Brady as a quarterback. You have Tom Brady, the brand, now at Tampa Bay. There's all of a sudden a lot of guys who are reaching out to go play in Tampa. Apparently, Tampa is topping merchandise sales. I'm no NFL expert, but I don't think Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers, have ever managed to accomplish such a feat. Nobody outside of Tampa Bay gives a fuck about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Maybe even people in Tampa Bay don't care about the Buccaneers. But now, whole continent basically is taking notice of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's because of Tom Brady. I think that it's more than just. I think Tom Brady is average quarterback, maybe above average as a quarterback. I'd probably say he's above average as a quarterback.
I'll give him above average right now.
I'm not a Tom. I don't think Tom Brady is
Clearly
a game changer at all at this point in his career. I think he's just there to be better than Jameis Winston. I don't think the Bucs do anything special, but the brand, the market is there because of Tom Brady.
Oh no, it's if I'm gonna grade it, I'll give it a B. I think it's a solid deal on both parties. Tom wanted his money, he got his money. Tampa Bay needed a brand new quarterback that's gonna give you that name. You bring in Tom Brady at an older age. Now you're actually giving Mike Evans someone that he can actually catch the ball.
Yeah, I gave it a B+. I think it's a lot of money for Tom Brady for what he can give you right now, but it's because of the branch, because of the market.
I mean, in all fairness, who else would they're going to get, if anything, better? You can get Rivers, you got to give Rivers $25 million as well.
Exactly. So, for that, B+ for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this one. Next one up, Teddy Bridgewater signed for the Carolina Panthers. 3 years, $63 million. $40 million of that is guaranteed over the first 2 seasons. What do you think of this one, Roman?
I like this one. Just because of the overall core around him. He's got McCaffrey. He's got a good core. Curtis Samuel didn't have a bad season either. They're going to obviously draft someone decent. Their big problem with them is their defense.
Yeah, especially with Kuechly gone.
Yep, they got a brand new coach, which is obviously going to help.
Yep.
If I'm going to grade it, I'm going to give it a B+. I'll go slightly higher.
I think this is a lot of money for Bridgewater. I think this is another one where it's been one, it was a half season really that he's getting this money off of. I know he's been in the past.
Thank you. He was a good quarterback in Minnesota.
I know he was, but you're giving him money based off of what the 5 or 6 games he played for the Saints this year. That's what you're basing it off of. This money. It's a bit of a risk, I think, for $63 million, $40 million guaranteed over 3 years. I'm gonna give this one a B. I think it's a good quarterback to pick up. I think he was one of the better ones that you could have picked up in free agency. If not the best, exactly. But it's a bit of a risk on this money. But it's a B. Yeah, good contract.
And he's 27.
Yeah,
this is not bad. This is
Carolina
not a bad
needed
contract.
A stable quarterback. Start fresh. This was a decent move. Next one, Phillip Rivers, 1 year, $25 million to the Colts. You're making a face.
It's stupid.
Yeah,
it's stupid. What's the point of bringing in? You have Brissett. What's the point?
I think Phillip Rivers is still a decent NFL quarterback.
I agree.
The Colts have probably the best complete roster. The best, 1 through 50. The best roster in the NFL. And they were a Super Bowl hunting team until Andrew Luck retired prematurely out of nowhere. This is the roll the dice. You're all in for this one season. Phillip Rivers is much better than Jacoby Brissett. Go all in, and I think the Colts can do some damage in the NFL, especially given how talented that entire roster is. You don't need Phillip Rivers to be tremendous, but Phillip Rivers is still decent. He was in the playoffs a couple years ago with the Chargers. I think that this is a good move, and it's 1 year. $25 million, roll the dice for 1 year. B+ for me on this one.
I understand the roll of the dice. I just don't see the point because Indy were actually a very hard team to play with Brissett. Even remember, he got injured in the season. That's why they finished so poor.
Yeah, but they just upgraded their QB.
I wouldn't have said at Rivers' age. I understand he can throw, but Brissett brings you the run game.
Rivers is an upgrade to me for Brissett, and it gives the Colts. Yes. It gives the Colts a better chance at a Super Bowl that they know that it's a win now situation. They can't wait. Their whole course of action got derailed with Andrew Luck. So they got to win now, and I think this is a win now type of move. I think it's a smart move. B+ for me.
I give it a B-. I don't see the point of it. It's just my opinion.
Next one is Nick Foles. He got traded to the Chicago Bears for a 4th round pick. Nick Foles, by the way, has 3 years left on his $88 million contract, which means he has $66 million to go. Chicago took that on for a 4th round pick. I'll start off this one.
Go ahead.
Chicago are too scared to move on from Mitchell Trubisky. They will not admit that they fucked up. They had Deshaun Watson in the draft, Patrick Mahomes. It's a little unfair to compare Patrick Mahomes to Mitchell Trubisky because nobody was drafting Patrick Mahomes that high. Patrick Mahomes was middle of the pack in the first round. But it was that early, it was Mitchell Trubisky or Deshaun Watson. That's the two you're looking at. Not only did they pass on Deshaun Watson, they traded up to get Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah.
And they just don't want to admit they made a mistake. They don't want to move on. I think the Nick Foles situation is, who's going to earn the starting spot come the start of the regular season. But for that much money, I don't like it.
The way I look at it is a lot of teams are trying to model what Tennessee did last year with the whole Mariota and Tannehill thing. Seeing if one quarterback's playing terrible, bringing the other one in, hopefully he starts fire under the one guy's ass and he actually plays well. It didn't work for Tennessee. They switched. It worked for them. We've seen that with two teams now. Vegas doing it as well, and now we've seen Chicago.
Yeah, it's just, why Nick Foles? Like, I really think that the Chicago Bears are like the Colts. They're in a win-now situation, especially with that defense who was
it's phenomenal,
formidable last year, and they were incredible 2 years ago.
You bring in Jimmy Graham.
They brought in Jimmy Graham.
Still good.
Who's serviceable. Not what he used to be, but he's serviceable.
Allen Robinson III, who's good
I really thought that they should have gone all out for Teddy Bridgewater or potentially a Cam Newton.
I thought it would have been Cam.
I think they really should have gone for this one, and I don't think this is the move that's going to let you go for it. Nick Foles played 11 quarters for the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. Nick Foles has not won a game as a starter since the double doink game.
Jacksonville was a mess last year, just the whole team in general.
And for that much money, why didn't you give Teddy Bridgewater 3 years, $66 million? If you're going to pay Nick Foles 3 years, $66 million.
I mean, if I'm Teddy Bridgewater, which team looks a little bit more? Which
the
team's
Bears
looking better?
The Bears do.
The Bears franchise in general has just gone to shit over the last couple
years. The Bears
are
a Super Bowl contender with a good. They're a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. Carolina Panthers are a bit of ways away here.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I this is a C- for me. This. You didn't give up much to get him, but I really thought they should have gone for a better QB in this offseason.
I don't think it's terrible just because if it actually helps Trubisky play, I don't think it's terrible. I'll give it a
unlikely.
I'll give it a C+.
We'll move on. Only got a few more left. Drew Brees, 2 years, $50 million, reminiscent of the Tom Brady contract. I like the deal.
It's beautiful.
Drew Brees, A-. Not overpaying, decent amount. He's old, 2 years. You're not locked into him. Drew Brees was great last year, and he's going to be great again this year.
Well, I give this one, same as you, A-. First one we're going to agree on here. And what I think is beautiful about this one is you give Tyson, I can't believe the name is Hill.
Yep.
A mentor for the next 2 years. This guy's already looking like he's going to be a good quarterback. Had a good season. He's got the run game. He's got the pass game. If he can bring that pass game up a couple more levels, he's going to be a good quarterback for the
Saints. They're going to feed him through Brees. Hill has said he wants to be a starting quarterback, so this is a good move for him to learn. He's not quite ready yet, but will he be at the end of these 2 years?
And the Saints are looking good. They got a good offense. They got a good defense.
This is a Super Bowl contender.
Even now, they brought in Jenkins, which is a disgusting signing for them.
They were in overtime away from potentially progressing further in playoffs. I thought that they were the favorites on that side to get to the Super Bowl. Lost to the Vikings in overtime,
and they filled that one position and screwed them.
Yeah, pass interference call could have gone either way. Thomas is an absolute goon of a receiver, so this is a good contract. What do you grade it?
A-. I'm going to agree with you.
Next one, Kirk Cousins signs a 2-year, $66 million extension, adding on to the $30 million he has coming this year. So it's 3 years left. It'll equate to $96 million. How do you feel about this one?
He earned his money. He did what he was supposed to do. He went to Minnesota, proved people wrong because people didn't think he'd be that good there. Won a playoff game. And I don't mind the deal at all. I think he's a decent QB.
This is it's okay. It's just he's decent QB. You really got to look at primetime games where when the lights are shining.
We've had this talk, yeah.
Lights are shining. Kirk Cousins is not the same QB. And I know he won the playoff game.
He showed up against the Saints and Drew Brees, so that's a big win.
Minnesota committing their future. I think they could have done this for a little bit cheaper.
Probably.
I give it a B because you get your guy. I think it's just a little too much money than you would have wanted to.
I like a B, and I think they're in a situation where they can't really get over that hump of Green Bay and that how hard that whole conference is, and that's why they can't get out of it. But we're looking at a good team with Dalvin Cook coming in the form and Adam Thielen. You're looking at Kyle Rudolph. It just looks like a good team in general, and their defense is very formidable.
And I understand why you had to give him the money because you've got such a good team around him. You need to lock up your guy.
Yep.
Would you be able to get better? I think that the Bears aren't going to be any better this year, I don't think.
No.
Maybe slightly, if anything. They were 500 last year. Green Bay is going to start regressing very soon.
They lost their wide receiver, yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is starting to age. Can the Vikings take over the NFC North?
Possibly.
Potentially. And I think that this might be the move that can help do that. And last one, we'll touch on him briefly. Marcus Mariota, we talked about him earlier with the Tannehill situation. He's gone to the Raiders No confirmation on the amount of money yet, but he's reportedly going to back up Derek Carr. What do you give this one?
Again, it's another take on what Tennessee did. We're looking at, it's basically a flip-flop because he was on Tennessee. We're looking at somebody that can kind of pick Derek Carr out of that kind of strut that he's not been the quarterback that he's supposed to have been for the last couple years. Oakland loved him. Now they're in Vegas. If you need a new face, you need a new face. You have a decent roster around you. Josh Jacobs, at running back, had a good season. And very underrated tight end in Darren Weller.
Yep.
And they actually signed Witten, which I totally forgot about.
Yep.
But we're going to have to wait and see. I like the move if I'm going to rate it.
For a backup, it's a good backup.
It's hard to rate because we don't know the exact cash sum yet.
Yeah, depending on the money, like just the name going, probably a B plus.
And this guy's not a bad QB. He had a bad season, and they replaced him with a quarterback that caught fire.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't been great for Tennessee at all.
Yeah, but what the hell did Tennessee have?
I know, but...
What did Tennessee have? Tennessee had a good tight end.
Fresh start for the former second overall pick. He can back up Derek Carr. You know, Mariota ran some snaps, too, for Titans, even though when Tannehill was starting. Yep. Just a bit of a dual threat. Another option for the defense to worry about. So I think it's a good move, especially as a backup option. Maybe this can be a fresh start. Maybe he can take over when Derek Carr finishes off.
I don't think they do anything still, but...
Neither do I.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. As a backup, it's a good backup.
I agree.
B or B plus, depending on the money.
I agree.
But we'll end it there. Let us know what you think about the grades. If you have a grade that you significantly disagree with, you can let us know on social media or in the comments of the YouTube video. All the links in the description. But we post every single day at Amshire Sports, so stay up to date with those daily episodes by following us. All the links, once again, in the description. We will see you again tomorrow for another episode.